Welcome to the Line Life podcast. I'm Jeff Postlethwaite, Senior Editor of T&D World, and today we're bringing you more stories of the grit, courage, and inspirational teamwork that it takes to be a line worker.
Thank you for tuning in to the Line Life podcast. My name is Amy Fishbach, and I'm the field editor for T&D World magazine. For this episode in our Faces of the Future podcast series, we are featuring Lexie Bryant, an apprentice for Omaha Public Power District. Back in 2020, she won the International Linemen's Rodeo Association's Jim Hamilton Scholarship, which was sponsored by Pacific Gas and Electric. Before we move on to my interview with Lexie, let's look back at the article that was published in the December 2020 print issue of T&D World. This was before we launched the Line Life podcast for T&D World, so I'll give a brief overview of my article, which was titled, Scholarships Support Future Leaders in the Trade. 9 aspiring linemen won the 2020 International Linemen's Rodeo Association scholarships. So as of December 2020, the International Linemen's Rodeo Association, or ILRA, had already been giving out scholarships for 20 years and had awarded $100,000 in scholarship money to well-deserving aspiring line program students nationwide. Each and every one of the recipients at that point had a successful career in the line trade, said Dennis Kerr, scholarship chair, which made him proud of what the ILRA has accomplished through the scholarship program. Many of the scholarship recipients have competed at the International Linemen's Rodeo, Kerr says. For example, one of the first winners who worked for Evergy walked across the stage receiving many awards. One year they were number 1. Kerr said it made him feel good when you see that, and it says a lot about the program. To apply for the scholarship, the candidates must submit a resume, personal essay, and 2 letters of recommendation. The scholarship committee then scores the applications and selects the winners. When the scholarship program first began, Kerr expected to get all the applications from one school. Through personal outreach to many of the line school programs nationwide, however, he has received applications from across the country. For 2020, the ILRA even awarded scholarships to students from new programs, Kerr says. Here is a summary from that article with the profile of Lexie Bryant talking about why she wanted to get into the line trade. 27-year-old Alexandria Bryant grew up with a strong interest in science and math and pursuing a career as a lawyer. While she has an immense respect for lawyers, however, she realized she wouldn't be happy in a desk job. Since she was 15, she's worked at least 2 jobs to support herself and her brothers, and she's traveled around the country for different opportunities. She's worked 3 jobs totaling 96 hours a week to save up for line school. I want to be a line worker for so many reasons, Bryant says. I want to be challenged physically and get out of my comfort zone. I know the value of hard work, grit, and determination, and having a career. I want to show my little brothers that anything is possible. Bryant said she is thankful to be receiving the scholarship, and she knows there are many applicants. It will help me in my career in this trade by getting me through to the rest of my schooling, as well as giving me another motivating factor to keep going as hard as I can to improve in every aspect of the job, Bryant says. This scholarship was another push in the right direction for me. I cannot wait to graduate and start doing the work I love doing. Dr. Michael Izzard-Carroll, Public Affairs Director, described Bryant as technically competent, conscientious, and analytical with an exceptional work ethic and professionalism. Meanwhile, Peter Jardy, a journeyman line technician at Nebraska Public Power District who has worked for the company for 18 years as of 2020, says Bryant will do anything for anyone and is thick-skinned, kind, confident, and a good listener. She would work hard to make sure she can do the physical aspect of the work, Jardy said. I would be proud to make her my apprentice if given the opportunity. So back in 2020, Lexie was a student at Western Nebraska Community College and one of the 9 scholarship winners. And this scholarship program is still going strong today. In fact, at the 2024 International Linemen's Rodeo Awards Banquet, Dennis Kerr honored the 2024 scholarship winners. So now let's fast forward to today and feature my interview with Lexie Bryant as part of the Faces of the Future podcast series for the Line Life podcast. Lexie, I know you're super busy as an apprentice for Omaha Public Power District. Thank you so much for taking out the time to talk with me today for the Line Life podcast.
Good to be here, Amy. Thanks for having me.
First of all, Lexie, can you describe how you got interested in a career in the line trade? And do you have any other line workers in your family? And if so, who?
I grew up knowing a lot of linemen. I had gotten my degree in a few other things like pre-radiologic technologies to be an x-ray tech. I went to business school at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and then decided to be a paralegal and go the law school route. I got into line school and law school at the same time and had to come to that decision because as I was looking back, every doctor and attorney that I had ever met hated their jobs and dreaded the work that they did. And the only group of people that I've ever met who enjoyed their job and talked about it with such a passion were the linemen that I knew. So when it came down to line school or law school, I decided to choose line school to see if they knew what they were talking about. They knew something that I didn't.
That's really cool, Lexie. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I know the line trade is a fabulous career and one that you can really make a difference and make a good living. Now, can you talk about where you are in your apprenticeship program and what you're learning right now through your training?
I've been an apprentice twice now at two different companies, and this is my first year at Omaha Public Power District. We work out of 3 centers that we rotate through, Omaha, Elkhorn, and Papillion, along with a few rural centers. The work at each place is a little different. Omaha is more of the bigger jobs, over 200 hours. Elkhorn has a lot of the underground and a little bit of the overhead, and then Papillion seems to be where most of the overtime's at, smaller jobs. Anything under 200 hours, that's what we do. And it seems to be a variety of anything on any given day. So it was nice to have that, seeing a lot of different things a lot of the time.
That's nice that you have that variety in your day-to-day work. And next, Lexie, can you describe the training center at Omaha Public Power District and where is it located and what facilities are available? For example, do you have access to a climbing yard, classrooms, or virtual training technology?
We have a couple pole climbing yards, hurt man poles in the shops. We've got classrooms, test rooms, a big training center here for climbing as well. And then we have underground and some other things that, we're constantly going to training, whether it be online, in person, taking classes, taking tests, doing workbooks, things like that. Everything's pretty much a learning experience. On inclement days, we'll go into the classrooms and go over transformer theory or any odd jobs that we've seen.
That's wonderful that there's such a focus on training there at OPPD. And next, Lexie, can we go back to the beginning and can you describe your start in the line trade? Did you do a lineman school, training program, boot camp, or pre-apprenticeship before you got into the apprenticeship program at OPPD? If so, how did it help with your position now?
I went out to Alliance, Nebraska to go to line school at a 2-year program. Then right out of school, I got a job at a municipality and worked there for a little while. But I wanted to see more of the work and get more experience a little faster during my apprenticeship. So I left there and I applied to OPPD and went to their boot camp, which is a full day of just a working interview and about 30 minutes of an actual one-on-one interview, which was a lot of fun. Definitely something I hadn't seen before. At the line school I went to, our instructor, we had one that did everything. So it wasn't one per class or one for climbing or anything like that. He did everything himself and very traditional, very detail-oriented, old school, specific. He liked things done right and mainly focused on teaching us line work rather than the book work. So a lot of the classes, we went over it briefly, did the tests and everything when we got into class, and a lot of the days were just 8 hours of climbing. We'd have 2 crews, so 4 hours of climbing per crew. He did teach us a lot about being very specific and doing it right and making it aesthetically pleasing, so that was nice.
Next, Lexie, can you describe what a day is like for you right now during your apprenticeship and what crew are you working on and what type of work do you focus on?
Well, where I was at before, we alternated crews every 3 months, so you would get to work with everybody at some point because the crew leads move, the apprentices move, and the journeymen move. So every 3 months it kind of cycles through, and by the end of the year you'll have worked with everybody, which is really great because it gives you a chance to see everybody's tips and pointers. Everybody does everything differently, has an easier way that may be easier for them. You'll eventually find something that's easier for you to do, and then you find your own way. And it gives you a chance to get acclimated to everybody's personalities because there are a lot of personalities down here. So that's awesome.
Now, Lexie, can you talk a little bit more about the on-the-job training?
Our on-the-job training is basically just us doing the work during our scheduled day or during outages or on call. And it's basically a lead journeyman, a crew lead, and 2 other people, one probably consisting of an apprentice. We get different work orders every day, and it could be anything from any of the areas that I had mentioned before. At Papillion, it was more just whatever you get during the day. It could have been anything. We focus on climbing, troubleshooting, underground construction, and maintenance, as well as the same for aerial. It could be anything at any given day. Our on-the-job training is doing the work during our normal scheduled hours or on call. Our crews are basically 1 crew lead, 2 lead journeymen, and an apprentice. So it depends on the day, but you might have 3 to 5 people, depending on the job that you're doing or what was needed.
How do you feel about being part of the line trade, and what is your favorite part of working as a line worker?
Well, I absolutely love what I do. I love that it's a challenge, and it can keep me engaged, unlike a lot of the other professions that I had tried prior to this. A lot of that came easy, the academics and things like that. This is more, you never know what you're going to get. The bonus, too, is it's hard mentally and physically for me, and I get to go home most days knowing I'm improving or seeing improvement in areas. A lot of jobs that you have, you're not going to see the improvements as you progress. You might see it years down the road, but this is instantaneous, whereas one day I was doing something completely wrong, and then the next day I'm like, oh, I know how to do this now. You don't get the feedback like that at the corporate job as well. You don't get it right away as you're doing it. So I love working hard and feeling the rewards from knowing that I'm doing things that I never thought I could have before, and then seeing myself do better and better every day. That's pretty rewarding for me.
And Lexie, what are some challenges do you think today's apprentices face in the line trade? And also, how do you think it compares to the line apprentices years ago?
There are definitely challenges as working as an apprentice in today's utility industry. However, I mean, there's challenges in anything that you do at any given time at any job. But I think we have it a lot better than the apprentices before, just due to the way that the corporations are moving. Everything's a little bit more relaxed, a lot safer than it used to be. They definitely aren't as hard on us like they were with the linemen previously, from what I've heard. Anyways, the stories. I just don't feel like we have the challenges the older generations had, which is, there's pros and cons to that as well.
And Lexie, I know you work a lot of long hours in the field, but when you do have some free time, what are some things that you enjoy doing?
Hobbies. I love hunting, fishing, camping, anything outdoors, really, hiking. Deer season is my absolute favorite. So it's always been right next to my birthday, second week in November. So I always make a point to maybe take a little bit of time off for that.
That is wonderful. I love to be outside too every chance I get. I love to hike and fish as well. So that's very cool. Thanks for sharing that with me. Now, Lexie, I'd like to move on to talk about tools and technologies. And what are some new things that you're using out in the field, and how are they helping you to improve your productivity and safety?
There are a lot of tools and technologies that help you improve your productivity and safety in the field. Luckily for us, we're in a position where new things are coming out every day, safety-wise, and just to get the job done a little faster, a little easier. So that's really helped me out. And every day, like I said, it's progressing so fast, it's hard to keep up with all of the safety items and different tools that are coming out. I think the tools available and the safety features provided make it a lot better as well. Like I said, safety is a huge thing, especially here. And they keep up with the new things that are coming out that just keep it safer for everybody. Everybody goes home at the end of the day.
And Lexie, now that you're in the apprenticeship program, what is your advice to others looking to work as an apprentice line worker? And what are some lessons that you learned during your apprenticeship of what to do and what not to do in order to make it in this trade?
To succeed in this industry as an apprentice, it takes grit, mental determination, and ambition. If you don't have fun with it, you won't ever love it. If your heart's not in it, you might as well get out right away. And I've always had a healthy dose of ambition, and it's helped me more and more than I could ever say in this industry rather than anywhere else. I don't like quitting, and I don't know how to say no. So whatever it is or how hard it is, I usually will be the volunteer and try until I get it. The experience is the main thing that will make you succeed. Getting your hands dirty, getting in there, doing the work. And, most jobs you're worried about messing up. And yes, you're worried about messing up here, but the more you mess up, the more you know you're doing, the more you're learning here. So that's really awesome to see.
Now, Lexie, what are some of your other tips for apprentices looking to stay safe when they're working out in the field and training to become a line worker?
My advice to others looking to work as an apprentice line worker would be always be safe. Plan your next step before making a move in your first. As all the crew leads say, fast is slow, adapt and overcome. They're cliche sayings, but I hear them every day from all of them. They apply every day as well. Listen to the people who are above you, but use discretion with who you take advice from. You have to love it and have a passion for it, or you won't cut it here, which I said earlier. You have to love it. If your heart's not in it, you should go home. I got lucky in having such a passion for what I do, so even on the hardest days, it doesn't even feel like work. And if it does, it's like going to the gym, where you might get a good workout in and dread it, but at the end of it, it's over, and you're glad you did it. I try to go above and beyond because things are still clicking for me about the way things work. As far as our processes and things like that. And good habits develop over time. And if you start skipping steps in the beginning, you'll skip them later, and that's not good for anybody. Safety is the most important thing in our trade so that we can all go home at the end of the day to our families, and that's all anybody wants to see. So safety is key.
I definitely agree with that. Safety is so important in the line trade. And Lexie, now let's look at the future of this industry. If you had a crystal ball, what do you see in the future for line workers?
I see a lot of things changing and how things are done. I'm sure safety will always be implementing new rules and internal dialogues will be changing. However, the one great part that seems to stay the same through all the generations is the people and the pride we take in the work that we do. And another great thing is that line work is the same no matter where you go. They may do things differently, but the process is the same.
Speaking of your future plans, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? And what are you going to do to reach that goal?
The future of line work holds a lot of opportunities, and I fully intend on taking advantage of them. This has been one of the best decisions that I made, was to get into line work. And I'll be proud to hold the title lineman in a few years down the road. I hope in 5 years I'll be a journeyman and have passed my test. And I hope that I'll feel confident in what I do enough to help newer apprentices as well, which going through this program definitely helps you see where the apprentices would have issues or what would be confusing, just because I'm in the middle of the process myself.
Now, Lexie, can you talk about what it's like to be a woman in the line trade?
I'd like to be the first female journeyman lineman for the company here, and that would be a huge step for me and my goals, and that's something I'm really proud of. I think it's really awesome, the women that are joining the trade. It is really hard to keep up in a man's world, that's for sure. Besides the physical challenges, just the mental ones as well. And I think it'd be awesome to say that I'm the first one here, and that way more can come.
Lexie, thank you so much for joining us for the Line Life podcast. We enjoyed hearing about your experiences working in the line trade, and we wish the best of luck to you.
Thank you, Amy, for having me.
To learn more about Lexie, make sure you check out the February 2025 issue of T&D World and look for the Faces of the Future department in the Electric Utility Operations section. This profile will also be on our website at www.tdworld.com/electric-utility-operations. Also, if you have an apprentice that you would like to nominate for a future Faces of the Future department, make sure to email me at amyfishbach@gmail.com. Again, amyfishbach@gmail.com. You will need to send a photo of the apprentice working out in the field, by a bucket truck, or competing at the rodeo. And the apprentice will also need to fill out an online form. He or she will get a chance to review the profile before it goes to print. We look forward to hearing from you and highlighting some great apprentices in 2025. Thank you so much for listening to the Line Life podcast.
This episode of the Line Life podcast was written, recorded, and edited by Amy Fishbach. It was produced by Jeff Postlewaite. That's me. To listen to past episodes, visit www.tdworld.com/podcasts or find us at Podbean. You could also drop us a voice memo or message at linelifepodcast@gmail.com with your comments on this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Please follow this show on Podbean or your favorite podcasting app to be updated when new episodes are released. Thank you for listening.